Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so let's start. Just give me a minute. Okay, so yesterday I told you that we'll start with activate methodology. So maybe what I'm planning is instead of having one more theoretical session, we already have two sessions which are theoretical. Let's have a practical session today, and maybe in the next class we'll talk about the activate methodology. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen to give you some overview of the system, like how exactly SAP S4HANA system looks like, and what are the changes in terms of the user interface, what are the changes in terms of the database. Okay, all these basic things, and if possible, if we get the time, we will also see some master data changes. So I'll show you how the master data of material and customer and vendor has been changed in SAP S4HANA. Okay, so are you able to see the SAP logon screen now? Can you see this? Okay. Okay. So as you can see, similar to the traditional ECC screen, similar to the way in which we were able to log in into the traditional ECC screen like this, here also we have a shortcut to log in into 1610. Okay, without any change, like we were configuring or we were configuring the application server and all, same thing. Okay, so if I double click on this, this is also opening the same screen. It is asking for client, user, password and language in the same way without any change. Sri is saying not able to hear me. What about others? Are you able to hear me properly? Okay. Okay. So this is exactly how we were able to, yeah, this is exactly how we were able to log in into SAP till now. Okay. The only difference is, if you can see here, if I go to SPRO or maybe even the user menu also, you will definitely find some of the new transactions, some of the new screens, some of the screens which are completely deleted. Okay, that is the difference in case of the traditional GUI. What is traditional GUI now? Whatever we are seeing currently, now this is called as the traditional GUI, because this was the old GUI that we were using for from years to perform the transactions. Now in SAP S4HANA, as we know that SAP has provided the new user interface through which we can do our transactions in the simpler way. And what is that new user interface called? It is Fiori. So how are we going to access that? Okay, so for that, SAP has provided a launchpad. Okay, this is a launchpad. Launchpad means logging into the Fiori screen. So let's say, for example, if I double click here, click on allow, I'll be getting the login screen, which is a Fiori login screen. Okay, this is another way of entering into SAP. The original way, the old way, we already know. We know we can, whenever we want to log in into SAP, we normally go with this SAP Easy Access and we enter our user ID and password. It will connect us to the server, and here we can do whatever transactions we are authorized to do. Now the other way is, the simpler way is, you double click on this, you come to the launchpad, you provide the same user ID and password. Same user ID and password. This is not going to change. Whatever user ID and password you are using for traditional GUI, same user ID and password will also work here. There is no separate user ID available for Fiori. Fiori works on the same user ID and password. Now one question here, why it is not asking for client? In the traditional GUI, whenever you log in, in this particular screen, it also asks for client. Why it is not asking here? The reason is when I double clicked on this is just a favorite, right? This is not a screen, or this is not uh, it is not available in the path that we can go and open the Fiori. This is just a favorite, and how this favorite is created. So if I right click here and let's go to change favorites, I can see there is a web address mentioned here. Okay, this web address is connecting us to that Fiori Launchpad. Now who creates this web address? So this web address are created by your technical Fiori consultant for each and every client independently. So currently this web address is only taking us to client 800. Okay, you may find that 800 available in your link, or it may also happen that you are not able to see which client it is connecting to, but your Fiori consultant will provide you a separate link for each and every client. Okay, so if you are logging into the development client, definitely the link will be different than the production client. Okay, so this web address is connecting you to Fiori Launchpad. So for each and every client, if you have multiple clients in development, if you have multiple clients in quality, I don't think in production you have multiple clients, but whatever number of clients you have, you will be getting that much number of links to log in into Fiori. Okay, that is the reason you are not asked here for client, because this link is only valid for client 800. Okay, so you enter your user ID and password here. The language is still asked. Click on log on. Okay, this is a new kind of user interface where instead of opening the screens in the traditional way like this, system will open this kind of Fiori apps. Okay, so what you can see here, you can see multiple different transactions. Create invoice list, display invoice list. Okay, I'll talk about this. So this is based on what role you are playing in the organization. So let's say, for example, when I log in SAP Fiori using my user ID and password, whatever screen I can see, whatever transactions I can see, it is not necessary that when you log in with your user ID, you'll also see the same thing. Why? Because if I am an end user, let's say I am from the purchasing department. So I should be able to see only the apps related to purchasing. You as a part of sales team, you should be only allowed to see the apps which are related to sales. Within sales also, the different apps will be visible to sales manager. Another different apps will be visible to sales executives. So it is totally based on the roles. Whatever roles you are playing in the organization, according to that only you will be able to see the Fiori screens. Now if you see here, this is my home. This home is just like this. This is your home screen. This is a starting point. From here, wherever you want to go, you need to either enter the transaction code or you need to follow the path. Okay, let's say for example, if I am a salesperson, okay, and if I open from my user ID, still I can see all these options. Okay, so if I can go to accounting, financial accounting, general ledger, document entry. Only when I double click on this at P50, I'll get an error message that you are not authorized to execute this transaction. But at least I can see what are the transactions available. In case of Fiori, it is not like that. In case of Fiori, whatever transactions you can see on your screen, only those transactions are available to you. Okay, so if you are not authorized for creating the FI document, you will not able to see that create FI document anyways in this particular screen. So number of apps, these are called as apps. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 apps. Okay, if I see down, there are more than 100, 200 apps which are assigned to my user ID because there are a lot of roles I have assigned to my user ID. So if I show you what different kind of roles, you can see here, these are all the groups. So I can process a sales invoice, I can process the retroactive sales invoice, I can go with the billing documents, I can perform the, let's say I can create the master data, customer data, supplier data, production allocation, sales documents. So you can see there are a lot of different groups which are assigned to my user ID. That is the reason I'm able to see around 100, 200 apps under my launchpad. Now this will not be same for your end user. Your end user may be having only 15 to 20 apps available to him or maybe fewer than that. Why? Because a single user is not supposed to work on multiple transactions. Single user will be only allowed to work on whatever role he is playing in the organization. So this can be treated as a roles. This can be treated as a role or maybe one role having multiple account groups which are relevant to each other. So for example, let's say we have created a single role for sales. So in that case, whatever groups you can see for sales, they will be available to him for transactions. Now, just give me a minute. Yeah. Now, as I told you, because I am assigned to multiple roles, I can see all these things. Now, when you have around 200 apps, it becomes difficult for you to find out a particular app. So let's say, for example, I want to create a purchase order. So if I go via this navigation, it will become very difficult to find, to create a purchase order. What I can do is, first thing which I can do is I can go via the group. So I will just navigate this and find purchase order processing. Okay, I can see purchase order processing. So if I click on purchase order processing, I can see the apps which are related to purchase order. Okay, so a create purchase order. I can click on this and it will open the create purchase order screen. Now, let's say for example, I can see multiple different kind of apps here. So these apps are divided into three parts. Some of the apps are transactional apps. What are transactional apps now? Transactional apps means the apps which allows you to do the transactions. For example, create purchase order. Definitely this is a transaction. But when I say display purchasing documents by account assignment, so this is just a display. I'm not going to perform any transaction. I'm just going to retrieve some information based on whatever transactions have been already completed. So this kind of apps will be called as analytical apps. So these are my transactional apps. These are my analytical apps. The third type of apps are called as fact sheets. What are the fact sheets? So this is just an example of fact sheet. Instead of you go inside in manage purchase order to see how many purchase orders are waiting for approval, you can see outside itself it is giving you the figure. It is saying there are 16 purchase orders which are waiting for approval. Similarly, if I am a sales manager, I want to see how many sales orders are in error. Maybe because of delivery issues, maybe because of invoicing issues. I want to know how many sales orders are in error. So instead of going into the particular sales order screen, finding out, oh, why this order is in error, what I can do is there is a sales order fulfillment cockpit here, which are also the fact sheets. So let me just show you sales order processing. So these are the cockpits, or these are the fact sheets which will tell me there are 137 orders which are in error. There are the issues. Now if I want to know what are the issues, if I click here, it will give me the issues according to the problems. So it is saying out of 137 issues, there are 109 issues in the sales order itself, maybe because of incompleteness. It is saying around 13 issues are in delivery and there are 13 issues in invoice. Okay, so this kind of apps were never available in ECC. In ECC, you need to find out by going on to different screens to find out what are the problems. Here in one single screenshot, you are getting the complete information. So this is another kind of analytics which is giving you the full flexibility. Like for example, if you click on in delivery, it will tell you only the errors which are in delivery. If you click on this, it will take you to that particular order and you can take a respective action here itself. So you can completely drill down to the document level and you can perform the transaction in the document level so that the issue is solved. Okay, so this kind of apps are called as fact sheets. We'll talk more about this when we do the transactions, but just to give you an idea, there are basically three types of apps available. One is transactional apps, which allows you to perform the transaction. Second is analytics, which allows you to see some reports. And third kind of apps are fact sheets. This is just one example. There can be multiple graphical reports, which allows you to go backward and forward, perform some transaction. These are called as a fact sheets. Okay, I'm going back to my home page. Okay, so these are the different apps which are allowed to me. Now, these are the groups. Okay, as I told you, you can see the groups. If I click on a particular group, it will take me to the transactions and reports, whatever apps are available under that group. Now, let's say for example, I want to customize my own layout. I want to customize the way in which the apps are looking under my uh, launchpad. It is very simple. It is like you are owning a mobile device which is having different kind of apps. So you can decide which app you want to keep it on your start screen, which app you want to move it to the back screen. Okay, so that kind of layout. Even the groups. So for example, if I can see there are multiple groups now, but I know out of these 200 transactions, normally I use only 5-6 transactions. So instead of every time moving around, going to different groups, if I want to create a single group, okay, in which I'll keep all my 6 transactions and I want that group to be always available on top. Okay, so what I can do for that is, let's say for example, if I want to create a new group, I'll go to this screen, okay, click on edit home page. Okay, now you can see it is allowing you to edit, it is allowing you to delete something, it is allowing you to add something. Okay, if I go up, you can see the option of adding the group. If I click on this add group, it is asking me the group name. So let's say Goro. Okay, this is just a new group and now I want to add some of the apps within this group. So let's say if I click on this plus button, it will give me the list of all the apps for which I am authorized. Obviously, for which I am authorized. If a particular app for which I am not authorized, that will not come in your selection screen also. It will not show you the option also to add that particular app into your group. Now, why it is taking so much of time? The reason is a lot of apps are assigned to my user ID. So number of apps, if the number of apps are more, it will take more time. If you are an end user, you only have 15 transactions available under your launchpad, then definitely that will take less time. Just wait for a minute. Okay, till it gets loaded, let me show you. Okay, uh, how these roles are assigned. So how the system is knowing that for my user ID, it should show all this 100, 200 apps. Let's say, for example, if I only want to see the apps which are related to purchasing, in that case, it is again very simple. The way in which you are handling the uh, roles or authorizations in ECC, it is exactly same. So you go to SU01 where you can maintain the user master data. So this is my user. I'm changing this user, going into the roles. Okay, you can see there are multiple roles which are assigned to my user ID. Now in ECC also, we had different kind of roles, right? We had the roles which were related to multiple transactions, but they were the roles which were from the end or from the traditional GUI point of view. So whatever roles, let's say if I am a purchasing team member and I already have a lot of, I already have a lot of transactions which are authorized under my name. So let's say, for example, I'm already authorized to create a purchase order, to create a purchase requisition using this traditional screen. This doesn't mean that if I log in into Fiori, I'll still access the same transactions. No. So just for example, if a user is having 10 different transactions under his role, he can execute 10 different transactions today. It doesn't mean that if he log in into SAP Fiori, he will by default be able to see all that apps. The reason is the roles are completely independent. Okay, so even if you are authorized to create a purchase order in using the traditional GUI screen ME21N, if you log in into SAP Fiori, till the time you are not provided an authorization for any Fiori app, your Fiori screen will be completely blank. Okay, it will not show you a single app till the time you are not adding some Fiori roles under your authorizations. Okay, so currently you can see there are a lot of apps which are authorized to me. Okay, these are all Fiori apps. The reason is if I see the profiles, I'm already assigned with SAP all. So from traditional GUI point of view, I have the complete access. But from Fiori point of view, I'm only having the access of whatever roles I have added here in the Fiori. So let's say if I want to just allow myself to do the purchasing transactions, I want to remove all this. Okay, I just removed this and I'll remove all this also. Now if I go back to my home page, this is still loading because of lot of apps. If I go to my home page now, let me just refresh this. Now you can see it is only showing you the apps which are related to purchasing, only this much. This is because of the role. So whatever role is authorized to you, accordingly you will be able to see the apps, transactional, analytical, fact sheet. Each and every app has a particular role. Okay, so currently under purchaser, you have all these different kind of apps. But this purchaser is a standard role. Normally what you do even in ECC also, for purchaser also, you divide the purchaser into 3 or 4 different roles, Z roles, and then accordingly you provide the access to the end user. So for example, under the purchaser, I am responsible for purchase order processing, but contract is processed by another team. So I don't want contract to appear in my user ID. What I will do, I will divide the purchaser. I means you need to ask your basis consultant. He will create some Z roles by dividing the standard purchaser role. So for contract processing, he will create another Z role. For requisition processing, he will create another Z role, and accordingly he will provide the authorizations. Okay, so this is how your SAP Fiori screens looks like. Let me just try to complete that thing which we were trying. So if I want to change the launchpad, if I want to add a new group and I want to add some new uh, app under my group. So first I will go for add group. Okay, I added a new group. Now if I click on adding a new transaction or adding a new app, I'll click on this plus button. Okay, so you can see it is asking me to either I can, if I directly see the particular app, I can click on that. So let's say purchase order processing, I want to add this create purchase order. Yes, this create purchase order. So I'll click on this plus sign. Now as soon as this is added, it will turn into tick, and you can see here tile create purchase order has been added to group Gaurav. Once I'm done with the changes, I will go back to my home page. Okay, and I will click on done. Okay, so I'm in the display mode now. Now you can see this Gaurav is the first group, and you can see create purchase order has been added under this Gaurav. So out of, let's say currently if I have 30-50 apps and I want to restrict myself only to 5 apps which I use on day-to-day basis. So I don't need to scroll around and find a particular app. I can add that 5 apps under my newly created group. It will show me in the first line itself. Okay. This is how you can configure your own launchpad to suit your requirements. So you now know what is Fiori. You need a web link to log in into SAP Fiori. There are different kind of transactional apps, analytical apps. You know you can create your groups. You know how the roles are handled in SAP Fiori. Okay, let me now go back to our traditional GUI to tell you what are the things that you need to see here. Before that, there are some questions on the chat screen. Let me answer that. I think I already answered these questions, whatever are asked, they were asked earlier. So is it based on security roles assigned to the user? You are seeing yes, it is definitely based on the security roles that you assign to user. Will the user have both SAP Access and Fiori screen? Possible. Okay, so today if these both screens are available, right? You can still continue to use transaction ME21 to create a purchase order, or you can use SAP Fiori to create a purchase order. The question is why both the screens are available? Why not only SAP Fiori? Or why when SAP has already came up with the new user interface, why are they still supporting the traditional GUI? So this traditional GUI is going to be for the temporary basis. It is completely going to be replaced with SAP Fiori. As of today, not all the transactions which are available in traditional GUI have a corresponding SAP Fiori app. That is the reason, let's say for example, SAP stops supporting the traditional GUI and later on you want to execute a transaction which was working in traditional GUI but you don't know, and maybe you know that this is not available on SAP Fiori at all. So what you will do in that case? That is the reason SAP is still not uh, making this traditional GUI obsolete till the time all the Fiori apps are not available. All the transactions which are available in traditional GUI, once they are available on SAP Fiori, then definitely this traditional GUI will be closed. Another important thing from the configuration point of view. From the configuration thing, we are still doing from SPRO. So even if from the user point of view, let's say the traditional GUI is not available, but from the consultant point of view, in order to configure the system, we'll be still having the SPRO screen. Now, saying that, coming to the question, is it possible that a user has both the access? That means he can create a purchase order using ME21N and he can also create the purchase order using SAP Fiori. So in that case, as I told you, both the roles are independent of each other. So in user ID, when you assign both the roles, the role which allows him to perform the transaction ME21N and the role which allows him to use the SAP Fiori transaction, if both the roles are assigned, definitely he can be able to access or he can perform the transaction using both the screens. Normally, we don't do that. Okay, normally we only provide the SAP Fiori access now, because if you provide both the options, as they are familiar with the older transactions, they will not be habitual to use SAP Fiori. That is the reason normally we only provide SAP Fiori access, and traditional GUI access is only provided to the super user in case if some transaction needs to be done which is not available on Fiori. Another question, is it possible to restrict apps within a single role? Say user is from purchasing department but still should not have access to all Fiori apps. I think we already discussed. So currently SAP provides the only purchaser role, which is having purchase requisition, contract, order, everything. But I don't want all the access to be given to all the staff in the purchasing department. So I can divide the standard role into multiple zeros and I can assign according to the users. Yes, is there any master data app? Yes, definitely. As I told you, whatever transactions you have in traditional GUI, all these transactions are available in SAP Fiori. There might be some 10% of the transactions which are not available, but otherwise, whatever transactions, whatever master data, whatever reports you want, you can get into SAP Fiori also. So for creation of master data, definitely there are apps, but now as you can see, I removed the access. I removed the role which was available for creating the master data. But yes, it is definitely there. You can click on create customer master, create vendor master, even create business partner to create all these transactions, create all this master data. This is a very important question. If I create a screen exit in purchasing screen, will that be available in Fiori also, or any special program is required in Fiori? Definitely. Whatever things you have done in your traditional GUI, okay, whatever exit screens you configured in the uh, traditional GUI, it is not necessary that all those user exits will work in SAP Fiori also. In some of the transactions, yes. In some of the transactions, when you do any transaction, uh, it calls the backend same API or BAPI, body, whatever it's called. So in that case, the user exit will work. But in some of the cases, let's say there is a completely new logic written. So SAP has provided some new apps which are completely different than the older apps. In that case, you may need to write this programming again from Fiori point of view. Now, what do you mean by Fiori point of view? Fiori screen point of view only, because whatever you write as a user exit, that is not Fiori, that is ABAP, right? In the background, it is still ABAP. So what happens is whenever you open a particular Fiori app, these Fiori apps are developed under UEFI technology. Okay, but when I click on this and when I process some transaction, obviously in the background, it is again calling the ABAP. Okay, so you don't need any programming knowledge from Fiori point of view as a functional consultant, or maybe let me tell like this. So coming to the same question, do I need to do some programming in Fiori? You don't need to do any programming in Fiori. You just need to add the ABAP programming into this Fiori app. Okay, you're not supposed to do any programming in Fiori. That will be done by your technical Fiori consultants. Fiori is just a user interface. The processing and all, it will still work under ABAP. The role of Fiori consultant is to make sure that the screens are designed according to the user requirements. So already standard screens are available. Okay, so let's say this create purchase order. This screen is already provided by SAP. Now if you want to create a new report and you want to design that in Fiori, so you need to identify which columns to be appeared like you were doing in ABAP. Okay, the role of Fiori consultant will be to design that layout. That's it. Once the layout is designed, whenever you will process the transaction, it will definitely go into ABAP. Okay, it will do the same same processing whatever it was doing earlier, and the result will be available. Now result columns again needs to be designed in Fiori. So Fiori is just a user interface. All the processing is still happening in ABAP and ultimately in HANA database. Okay, let me go back to our normal system, which is traditional GUI. Now, in order to check which status or which version we are using, so normally we go to this status, right? In this status, you can see this product version. If you want to see the details, you can click on this component-wise details. So this is our main component, S4 core. If you remember, in yesterday's session, I told you what is S4 core. Okay, I shown you one slide in which S4 core was coming in middle, and after S4 core, the supplementing features were like Ariba, Hybrid, Success Factor. So Ariba, Hybrid, Success Factor, these are the external components which can be integrated with S4 core. But the core SAP system, which is providing you the capabilities of interfacing with these cloud-based technologies, is this component, S4 core component. The release 101 means 1610. If you go to 1511, you will find 100. Okay, this 101 means this is 1610. We need to see what comes in 1709. So once 1709 will be available, we can go here and we can find out what release it is showing. This is 1610 and this is SPS version. So this is SPS 0. What happens is when SAP comes up with any new version, this gets updated. So 1511 was 100, 1610 is 101. And in between, if there are some corrections which are available from SAP, they are coming via the service packs. So that service packs are updated here. Service pack 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. So this is 1610 service pack 0. Also, you can go here in installed product versions to find out the complete product information. So it is S4HANA on-premise, release is 1610. Okay, so these are the ways to check what system we are using, which version we are using. Obviously, we are using HANA database. Okay, you cannot work on SAP S4HANA system with any other database. It is always going to be HANA database, right? And this is a release. This is the release of HANA database, like which version of HANA we are using. Okay. So now you know the 1610 system, how to check which database is being used, the new user interface, how to access the new user interface. So how to access a new user interface, this is client to client. So currently it was easy because there was a favorite created here. In your case, let's say you are working on some other system in 1610. So you may not find this available in the favorites, and it is not necessary that the link will be like this only. It all depends how your Fiori consultant or how your security consultants are creating this link. So in order to access the Fiori app, you need to check with your Fiori consultant the link which will connect you to the Fiori. Okay, so as I told you, for each and every client, you will be getting separate link. Any questions till now? Otherwise, I'll start the next topic, that is creation of the master data, how the master data has been changed. But before master data, I'll take another 15-20 minutes to show you the enterprise structure configuration. There is no change in the way how you configure the enterprise structure. So I'll just go fast. I'll just create one company code, purchase org, sales org, everything like whatever enterprise structure will be required in order to understand all the functionalities of SAP S4. Okay, there are some, just a minute, questions on the chat screen. Is there any standard link available from SAP? Prabhakar, can you just be clear what kind of link you are asking? Are you all muted? Just give me a minute. Let me unmute all of you, but you need to mute yourself because otherwise it will create a lot of confusion. So I'm unmuting all. Just all of you mute yourself from your side. All of you, plus please mute yourself from your side. Yes, now it is good. So please keep muted till the time you don't have any question. If you have any question, just unmute yourself and ask the question. Prabhakar, can you just speak out what exactly you are saying?
Hi Gaurav, sorry, I think I have some issue with my mic. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, my basic question was, for example, if we start working on this S4HANA and if I go to Fiori, would there be a standard link that would show me all the transactions or all apps? Or before that, the Fiori consultant definitely had to configure some apps on the screen?
Yes, definitely. So you don't have any mute yourself?
Sorry?
Please mute yourself.
Yeah, I did. Can you hear now? Is it okay?
No. There is background noise. Okay, I'll mute you from here.
Yeah, can you hear me now? How is that?
Yes, I can hear you. Just give me a minute. Let me mute you from here. Phone caller. Are you calling from phone also?
Hey, actually, I'm calling from phone. Actually, I have issue with my microphone. Sorry about that. Is it inconvenient for anyone there?
Only thing is I'm not able to mute phone caller. I can see that's somebody speaking with phone caller, but I cannot see the name to mute. Okay, I'm just all of you as of now. Okay, and once I answer this question, I'll again unmute you. Okay, so you are asking, is there any standard link where I can go and find all the Fiori apps? See, in order to see all the Fiori apps, you don't have any standard link available for each and every client. But again, it doesn't mean that, let's say for example, if you want to know what are the different kind of apps are available, may not be in your server, the standard apps which are provided by SAP and which role is required to access that particular app. For that, SAP has provided a SAP Fiori app library. Okay, I'll just show you that particular thing first before I proceed to the next topic. So if you just type in the Google screen, SAP Fiori app library, I'm sharing that link with you also. SAP Fiori apps library. Okay, I shared one link with all of you. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you see the screen now? SAP Fiori Apps Library. Okay, see, this is a place where you can go and find all the apps which are provided by SAP till now. Okay, so if I go with this all apps, okay, it will open all the apps which are available by SAP. Let's say if I want to search a particular app, create sales order, or even don't need to write the complete name. If you remember the transaction code, what you were using in ECC, let's say VA01. If I enter VA01 and click on this search button, it will find a corresponding app, which app is available in SAP Fiori to create a sales order. Okay, and it is also showing you which role is assigned or which group is having this access. Internal sales representative is a group under which you have this access. So for example, if I click on this, okay, this is a single app which is doing all these things. It is used to create a sales order, to create a debit memo, the credit memo, everything. So if I click on this particular app, okay, you can see here, this is giving you the complete information about this app. If you want to know which role I should have in order to access this app from my launchpad, so you go to this implementation information. Here you go into this configuration. Within the configuration, you can see this business role. So this is a role which is responsible, which is allowed to access this authorization. Okay, so like this, there are different kind of apps which are available. You can check what app you want, and even this is only to check the role. The other technical things, like for example, if you want your Fiori consultant to provide the access of a particular transaction in SAP Fiori, but your Fiori consultant is not sure whether that app is available or not, and if it is available, which technical service he needs to activate. So if you provide him this particular information, if you just tell him, okay, I'm using this transaction VA01, can you tell me which app is available in Fiori for this, and can you tell me whether it is technically activated from Fiori point of view or not? So that is sufficient. He will open this link and he will see all this information, which technical service is required, what kind of configuration is required. Everything is mentioned in this particular site. In this site, each and everything related to all the Fiori apps which are available till today from SAP, everything is mentioned here. Some of the information is helpful for your Fiori consultant. Some of the information will be helpful for you as a functional consultant to provide the necessary roles. So if I go back to my server now once again, and as I copied the role which will provide me the access of create sales order, okay, and if I add this, click on save. Now next time when you open the Fiori screen, or if you just refresh this, see, you'll be able to see all the apps related to sales. Okay, so this internal sales representative has the access of contract processing, sales document list, product allocation. Okay, accordingly, you will get a access to create sales order for which we were taking. This one, right? So this is how you can go in SAP Fiori app library and check what kind of apps are available. Another question, in ECC we have development and quality clients. How does it happen in Fiori and how the transport will be moved? It is exactly same. See, whatever transports you are doing, that you are not doing from Fiori. As I told you, SPRO is still available under your traditional GUI. Whatever configurations you will be doing, you will be still doing under the traditional GUI. So the way in which the development, quality and production systems are integrated, it is exactly same in S4HANA also. You don't have a separate landscape, it is same. Okay, whatever development movements, quality movements you will be doing, that you will be doing from the traditional GUI, not via SAP Fiori. Yes, another important question, the link that I provided to you, SAP Fiori apps library, is it respect to SAP release like 15.11, 16.10? No, it is not specific to the release, but when you open this link, when you open a particular app, it tells you under which release this particular app will work. So there is no separate link for each and every release for SAP Fiori app library, a single link. But when you enter into the particular transaction, it will tell you that this app will only work, let's say for example, in 16.10. This will not work in 15.11. So that information you can get easily from the app. Yes, Pradeep, SAP Fiori has a option of selecting the language. Only client option is not available. That is because you have a separate link for each and every client. Yes, Prasanna is asking the question with VA01, suppose I want to restrict particular sales organization distribution channel, then who and how will do same? This is again the same thing. In ECC also, if you have a transaction access to VA01, this doesn't mean that you will be having the access of all the sales areas. It will be only based on some sales area for which you are authorized. So here also, when you have a particular role, you also have the authorization objects. So authorization objects, if you already are provided from the traditional GUI point of view, that is sufficient, because that will take care of which sales organization you are authorized to. This is only to restrict whether you have the access of entering into that screen or not. Okay, just one question from, he want to see once again how I created a group. Okay, so let me just demonstrate that once again. So this is my normal standard Fiori Launchpad. Okay, I can see all the apps which are, or I can see all the apps which are authorized to me. If I want to create a new group, I already created one. If I can see Gaurav here. Oh, why it is not available? Okay, that is because, just a minute. It should be available. The Gaurav is not visible here. Okay, let's try to create once again and see what is happening. So if I want to change my layout, let's say if I want to add a new group and I want to assign some of the transactions which are available in all these different groups to one common group. So I'll click on this edit homepage. Okay, here I can click on this add group. So let's say I want to give this name as, let's see if it is allowing me to give the same name, Gaurav, and add this. Yes, it is still allowing. I don't know what happened to last one, whether I saved it properly or not. Okay, so if I click on this new button, it will provide me the list of all the apps for which I am authorized. This is called a catalog. Catalog means the list of all the apps for which you are authorized. So any app, if I want to give the access of, let's say, manage RFQs, I'll click on this. You'll get a message that it has been added to group Gaurav, and you can just go back to your home page and click on done. Okay, once your changes have been saved, you are no longer in the edit mode. Okay, you can see this Gaurav has been added as a group, and you can see manage RFQs available under this particular group. Okay, is this something that can we nest the group? Nest the group means what? You mean multiple group under group? No, I don't think that is possible. You cannot have group under group. Let me go back to chat to find out if there are any other questions. Can you change the name of the tiles? Normally not. Let's see why it is required. Why do you change? Because this is already the naming conventions provided by SAP. If you want to create your own app, then definitely you can change. But I don't think you can change the name of the standard. No. No, you cannot do. You can move the app here and there, that is fine, but you cannot change the name. You can delete also. If you think that this app is not required, you can just release that. Can you change the sequence? That is also possible, but it depends. If you want to change the sequence, you can bring here. See, this is how you can change. That is also possible. Sequence of groups, can we change? Let's try. Yes, any Z apps can be created. Yes, they can be created taking the help of Fiori consultant. Yes, you can move the groups up and down. Okay, so you just need to pick it from here and you just take it wherever you want. Who manages the SAP Fiori screens? SAP Fiori screens are not managed by Basis, not managed by, sorry, what question you asked, Basis or? Just a minute. Yes, there is another question. Are all the apps for on-premise and cloud are same or different? There may be some difference because when you talk about cloud, there are some more advanced apps available on cloud. Like for example, there are some guided configuration apps, very basic. I'm not saying the complete guided configuration is available on cloud, but cloud may have more number of apps compared to on-premise. See, most of the core apps, like for example, whatever we use for MMSD and PP, you will find they are all same in on-premise and on cloud. That will not make any difference. But let's say some additional advanced apps like configuring the system from Fiori directly, that is something which is only available on cloud. Prasun is asking again the same question. Traditional authorization object will work enough. No need of Fiori-based authorization group again. Yes, authorization object, if it is provided, which will control which sales organization you are assigned, which company code you are assigned, that is enough. From Fiori point of view, you just need to provide the access so that that app is available to you from the user screen. That's it. Can you change the sequence of group? You have seen, yes, you can change. Any existing Z transactions can be created as app. Yes, you can create a, you need to ask your Fiori consultant to create a user screen to access the Z transaction. Yes, I was asking about this question. There is a good question. Who manages the Fiori screens in real world? Is it a basis consultant or a functional consultant? It is neither basis nor functional. SAP Fiori is a competency in itself. There are a lot of SAP Fiori consultants who are responsible for all the Fiori related tasks. As a functional consultant, you may be responsible for making sure that the correct roles are provided to the users. But if anything goes wrong, Fiori app is not working, or maybe some kind of error that you are getting when you are trying to open the Fiori app, these are all the situations will be handled by your Fiori consultant. If you want to develop a completely new app, again, you need to contact your Fiori consultant. We have few ECC add-ons. Will they be available in SAP Fiori, and how can we check? It depends upon what add-ons you have, and you need to find out for that particular add-on whether the Fiori apps are available or not. That is the same reason I told you SAP is still supporting traditional GUI. So let's say, for example, if you are using an add-on for which SAP Fiori apps are not available, in that case you need to go back to traditional GUI to do the transactions. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I think there is another question. Can we model what other user roles and groups to new user? Sorry, I'm not getting this question, Sandeep. Can you just give me a minute? I'll just unmute you so that you can ask your question. Yes, Sandeep, please proceed with your question.
Yes, Gaurav, thanks for unmuting. So usually, sometimes like, when the new users comes with the basic security team, they model the users of the existing users to the new users so that they need not to give all the specific transactions. So in such case, do we have the same functionality that would help the modeling in the Fiori apps? So we need not to go each and everything. So for example, I can just get all the access of the Gaurav to work on.
Yes. See, that has nothing to do with Fiori exactly, because that is a security concern, right? So you create a model user every time when a user is created, which is having the same roles as Gaurav, that user should be copied, right? You're talking about that. So that is a security concern, and that is not changed. That is available as it is. Only thing is, if the roles are available to Gaurav which are related to Fiori, that roles will be automatically available to the new user also, because the new user was copied from the template user.
Right, got it. Thank you.
Okay, let me close this now. Close this. So as I told you, what we can do is the master data will not be able to cover in the remaining time, but at least the enterprise structure will keep configured so that next time when we meet, we directly start with the changes in the master data. So what we normally do when we talk about the enterprise structure, we normally configure the company code, purchasing org, sales org. Now there is no change in the way how you configure these things. You had two options earlier also in ECC. We were either creating all these things from scratch one by one, or we were directly copying some of the existing template company code, sample company code, so that all the data is copied automatically. Now since we are here for understanding what has changed, if I copy, most of the things will be copied and you will never be able to know if there was any change or not. So instead of copying, I'll do everything from scratch. So I'll just create one company code, enter enterprise structure, sales area, purchasing organization, even the shipping locations, so that from the next session, whatever things we do, whenever we create a customer, vendor, and whatever further activities like creation of PO and all, we have some kind of structure ready which we can use for the entire course. Okay, so I'm going into the enterprise structure. As I told you, there is no change, so I'll be little bit faster. If you think there is something which you want to discuss, just stop me and we can proceed. So I'll go to definition, financial accounting, company code. Okay, so this is the option which allows me to copy the company code. As I told you, I'm not going to copy anything. So I'll go to this edit company code instead. Click on new entries. Let's say SL, which one can I use? Let's say 11. So this is the company code that we will use for all our scenarios. Okay, so this company name SL, I'll just give the same name, SL11. City, I'm keeping it as Bangalore. Country IN, currency INR, and language EN. Click on save. I'm only entering the mandatory information. Okay, so company code has been created. Let's go to the next enterprise element. All these things are optional as of now, not required. Let me close this. Logistics general, let me create one or two plants. Okay, as of now, I'll just create one. When we'll talk about a scenario, I'll create another one. So SL11, factory calendar is important. Save. Okay, in your case, whenever you are practicing on this server, you can directly copy the company code as you were doing till now. Okay, you don't need to follow all these steps, but I am doing it so that you come to know are there any changes or not. Location, division, S1 is already in place. I'll go with S3. Sales and distribution, I'll just create a sales organization. Distribution channel, going to materials management, creating the storage location. Purchasing org, shipping point. Okay, so definitions are done. Now I need to assign new things. So assignment, logistics general, assign plant to company code. This is not required. Let's go to sales and distribution, assign sales organization to company code. Distribution channel, finally setting up the sales area. Assigning sales area to plant. Materials management, assigning purchasing org to company code and to plant. Okay, these two are not required. Shipping point to plant. Okay, so the basic enterprise elements are ready. Okay, now as you know, you cannot proceed to do any transactions, at least the materials movement, without having the accounting setup. So from financial accounting point of view also, we need some basic information. So what I can do is going into the financial accounting global settings, global parameters for company code, enter the global parameters. Okay, so I'll go to company code SL11 and assign some basic information like chart of account. I'm assigning the standard chart of account, which is INT. Fiscal year variant, which means the starting and ending year. Normally in India we use V3, but I'm entering here as K4, which will be easy for our scenario, which is January to December. So there will not be any confusion. Field status variant, again I'm using the standard one, 0001, and posting period variant, again I'm using the standard one, which is 0001. Just save this. Now since we are in SAP S4HANA, we already have simple finance in place. That is the reason some of the basic configuration is required from FICO, okay, including the controlling. So I'll just complete that part. I'll go to controlling. I need to create a controlling area. This is locked. Wait for a minute. Sorry, what is that transaction? SM12, right? Yes. Yes, for new 30. Okay, I'll create a new controlling area. Same name, SL11. Controlling area same as company code. Okay, normally this is done by the controlling consultant, but if you are working on this server, you may need to configure this thing so that you can practice. Okay, so controlling area has been created. We need to assign this controlling area to our company code. Next step, so assignment of company codes, SL11, save. Activating the components. So from 2017, I just want to activate cost center accounting. So based on the controlling requirements, you can normally your controlling consultant activates all these different things which are required. Okay, so this is from the controlling point of view. There might be some small configurations required. We may get some errors initially when we'll try to process the transaction, but that is something which will make more sense if we try to understand what errors we are getting and how to solve that instead of doing it now. So from enterprise structure point of view, we are now ready, and we are ready to create the master data. Okay, so for example, I'll just give you the overview today because it will take one complete session to understand the changes in the customer and vendor master data. So the way in which we were creating the customers and vendors transactions XT01, XK01, these transactions are no more available. The reason is in ECC we had a choice whether we want to create a business partner or not for each and every customer. So in ECC also, if you are using FSCM component or if you are using CRM, SRM, we normally create the business partner, but it was not mandatory because if I want to use the normal SD and MM transactions, I can still continue to create customers and suppliers independently without having any link to business partner. But now in SAP S4HANA, it is mandatory that for each and every customer, you need to create a business partner. That is the reason the way in which we were creating the customers and vendors till now, that is not available. You only need to create it via the business partner. So first you need to create a business partner and then you need to extend that business partner as a customer, as a vendor, whatever is your requirements. Okay, so a new transaction is in place, transaction code BP, which will be used to create the customers and vendors. How it has to be done, what are the configuration required, what are the integrations, all these areas we'll speak about in the next session. Okay, any questions before we close today? The system access you need to check with Sana and Krishna. I think you will be getting the access soon. I'm not sure. So you just check with them. They will provide you the access. Prasan, I'm not able to understand your question. What is this? What is heuristic app?
Yeah, PPT is scheduling apps.
Okay, okay. Yes, there are some apps available. We'll talk about that when we'll be speaking about that topic.
No, my question is whether this is part of on-premise or this is only available till cloud only.
PPDS I need to check. I'm also not sure. But most probably if it is, see, whatever functionality if you're talking about, functionality, whatever is available in on-premise, it is available same in cloud. Only the, as I told you, the guided configuration kind of apps, they are only available on cloud. Otherwise, functionality related apps, if they are available on cloud, they are also available on premise.
I think it will come from 7.10 or next release actually.
I'll confirm you.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Another question is, do we have any sample document like how to create material master, vendor master, etc. in SAP S4HANA? Sample document. I'll be providing you the document, so you don't need to worry. I'll be telling you how exactly all these things to be done. And I'll also provide you the link of important documentations where you can go and see some documentations on your own. Okay, so let's close today and we'll meet on next Saturday, same times. Thank you.